Fellas, today we are going over shallow, probably our most productive drop back gameplay from middle school all the way through high school. We're going to do a breakdown of all the various ways we use it, and it does change from level to level. And then obviously we got cut ups to reinforce. Hang out, stay tuned, and we're going to get going now. All right, fellas, thanks for sticking around. So before we get going, as always, if you're new to the YouTube channel, take 2 seconds, go down below, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. We have a lot of new content creators on our Whistle channel now, so I want to make sure you're up to date with those guys and all the things that are happening. And on that note, I did want to talk real quickly about whistle.com because there's a lot of new changes and I've gotten a lot of questions, so I just want to address it. So yes, we did upgrade the site, and one of the best things about the site is how collaborative it is, and it's completely searchable. So for instance, if a new coach were to come on to the site, search screen, they would see everything screen related. Okay, so Jason Ross did a screen game video, I did a screen game article. We have screens all over this site, so people can find anything they need historically from now till a couple of years ago. So it's a great way for coaches to come on and learn. We also have a really great feature of upvoting. So when coaches come in here, you know, they might see in our really cool forums that there are GT counter variations. They can go there, click that, and all of a sudden they see all of these coaches put on their favorite GT counter variations. And we have a lot of just clips. So this one has gotten 4 votes. You can click this upvote button here when you find the counter variation that you like the best. So as you can see, there's 10 variations. Other coaches have voted and put on these other variations. You can quickly just go watch the video. If you like it, great. Upvote it. You can reply and get a conversation started. You can mark as a best answer, so we can see who loves what. And after we get a bunch of coaches on here voting, we can really push to the top of the screen the best variation. So shallow might be one of the most straightforward drop back game plays that we have in terms of coaching, and it seems to be relatively easy for players to absorb it. The progressions do change from level to level. At the higher levels, we start with the deeper reads first and come back down to the shorter routes. The lower levels, we tend to start with the shorter routes, making sure that we use all the short amount of time that we have, making a quick read and getting the ball out. And from year to year, from level to level, that kind of changes by depending on the personnel that we have and what they can handle. It does tend to fluctuate by the mental capacity of the quarterbacks and receivers from year to year. There are a couple rules that I love about this play, about why cross is very similar. And we can call this play a lot of different ways. What we're doing is flipping the field and the responsibilities. So as you can see on the screen, we call this open Y shallow. And with that, obviously the Y is running that shallow route as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. The H is running that 8 to 10 yard mandatory outside release dig, trying to find that first piece of open grass that he can see as soon as he turns that corner. We always teach the outside receivers that the outside receiver to the dig side has the skinny post, keeping in mind where that safety is, right? And the outside receiver to the shallow side always has the outside release go. And so we really teach it like this because we can flip it really quickly depending on the hash or, you know, what personnel we have at Y or H, or the outside receivers. And so as you can see here, we could easily just flip it by saying H shallow. Now this is out of our ace formation with the tight ends attached, but it's 2 by 2 and we consider them both 2 by 2s with now H running the shallow, and it's just in the name, H shallow or 91H. Now Y has the 8 to 10 yard mandatory outside release dig. And as our rules tell us, the outside receiver to the dig side has the skinny post, and the outside receiver to the shallow side has the mandatory outside release. And the last key that I'll say to you is this: F, our running back, always is doing his swing or shoot to the opposite side of the shallow. Okay, opposite side of the shallow. We teach reading this dig and shallow read the same way. So when the quarterback snaps the ball, the eyes immediately go to the outside linebacker to the dig side. That's how we say it to the quarterbacks and hopefully have them remember. We are going to stare this down, and it might seem like an eternity, but we are going to let this dig runner try to get into that open grass behind those linebackers. And if he does successfully, we are just going to rip it into that window. And at junior high and middle school levels, we typically don't even teach them to keep running. The only time we have them keep running is when they're being manned up and someone's chasing them, and that's pretty simple for them to do. But we really like them turning this corner. If this linebacker's body is facing forward, essentially in a zone turn, dropping to their zone, they just have a really hard time defending this throw. So we want that Y to find that grass in between that first window, settle, get his hands up, step to the quarterback. And if the quarterback is throwing that dig with anticipation, kind of understanding the body position of the linebackers and the relationship and the chemistry with that Y, then that is a nice little shot right in between those linebackers for 8 to 10 yards almost every single time. Now, if that linebacker just naturally goes out to the flats because that's his responsibility, or he starts to run with the H, or even if he just widens out into the hook to curl area but is facing forward, that shallow is pretty much dead. So again, we're still looking for that dig. Now, if that Sam in this situation turns his back and runs, or really just latches on to that Y, even if he's facing forward, then obviously, yeah, we probably want to throw that shallow runner. He is leaving that shallow space, and if he vacates that space, we're going to hit that shallow. And if we can hit that full speed, he has a real chance to make a big play on a short throw. Okay. Now, last thing I will say, this dig, if run correctly, it can be a man beater, just like that shallow is a man beater, right? So if that dig is turning the corner and that Sam, who probably is a lesser athlete, is chasing an athletic dig runner, it's not a horrible throw if he's out in front to throw that as a man beater as well. But just generally, the basic rules of this, trying to get this into the quarterback's head, we are trying to throw the dig, and then it's almost a check down to the shallow is the way we describe it. So at the lower levels, we do this immediately right off the bat. And at the higher levels, we go the deep shot first and then come down to this overhang defender. And as always, we are having our outside receivers communicating with receiver coaches, with offensive coaches. Is that safety coming down on the dig? Are the safeties cheating down? Are they backing up? So we are always looking to take this shot, the post shot over the top, or the go shot over the top. But at the lower levels, that's more of a coach's call. At the higher level, we do build it into the reads in high school, so they can take that shot if they see it. And you'll see some clips of both ways here coming up soon. So those are the main coaching points as we go through this in different formations. There'll be a little nuance that we'll talk about, but essentially, I just wanted to make sure we level set on the basic rules of this play, and we'll kind of move through this quickly now and get to the clips. All right, so we do have a version where we motion the H right to the end of the line of scrimmage and just really gets him momentum coming. We wanted to get him across to the shallow side as quickly as possible, and so that did help. We've done that a few times, and it is nice little wrinkle. Same exact read, same exact responsibilities, and we just love running this at the lower levels where we have our two-back green or blue set, and the H is running this out of the backfield, trying to find a little slice in the line of scrimmage and come out the other side. It's a little sneakier because the H is harder to track from a linebacker perspective, coming out of the backfield and getting into all that wash. But it's the same read for the quarterback. Always the same reads, always the same rules, outside receivers, inside receivers. So the Y is still running that outside release dig. And we are still reading that overhang defender to the dig side. But it's you'll see some clips of this. And lastly, I did want to show it out of 3x1. We actually call this drive. So I think one of the levels actually called it still just late and early, Y shallow, whatever. It's basically the same thing. It's a little harder for the quarterback to read. And our JV, our 12U team actually did this very well. They actually had this Y sitting in the middle of the field by rule, just kind of sitting in grass, just to make it a higher completion percentage. But they hit this pretty well this season. You'll see some clips of it, but it's essentially the same thing. The H is going to run the outside release dig. We do want to throw the dig. So again, if this overhang defender is in the zone turn facing forward and there's a window here to throw into, we want to do that. If not, the quarterback's eyes quickly flash to this grass area over here. And if there's no color over here, it's a great shot to throw. And worst case scenario, we are going to the swing after that. All right, so let's get into the clips.
Pass complete to number 80. He runs it in for a touchdown.
But I don't think guys settle in Danville in those areas. I don't think he lives here. Wow. Number 80 with the catch.
What?